All right, what's up, guys? We're back in the lab, and we got our good friend Nick Tijerina
I was wondering you were going to say it,
in the house. Nick, thanks for showing up and hanging out with us tonight, man.
Yeah, man, it's cool. Thank you for having me.
So the cool thing about this is, man, is like we want to bring on friends, family, people that are doing good things in the community, doing positive stuff, entrepreneurs, business owners, but we always kind of want to center around the dad thing, and you're a dad. So we're gonna get into some real life topics tonight, and hopefully the people out there enjoy what we bring to the table. But before we get going, Ant,
without further ado, go ahead.
What are we doing here? What we got?
Whoa, we got to start off with some wine. And the cool thing about tonight, Anthony and I, since y'all know, we're novice wine drinkers. And what are they called? What's a
sommelier or some shit?
Sommelier.
Sommelier.
We're novice. Nick, you got some experience, right? A
little
bit more,
yeah.
right? Because you were schooling me up before we even got started a little bit more than what I know.
I did open the wine bottle for you.
Yes,
yeah.
did.
I showed him how to use
Derek
a wine
always has
opener.
the guest open up the bottle for some reason.
Yeah.
If I'm not opening it.
Dude, I'm a rookie, man. I'm a rookie. So anyways, tonight we got 14 hands is what we got. And this is a smooth red blend
Yes.
from Columbia Valley. Hot to trot.
That's good. I've
So-
had it before.
Have you?
Yeah.
All right, give me your glasses, man.
Now this is now we're really wine drinking.
Oh, here we are. Here's my glass. All right, sir. Thank you.
Are you good?
That's good. Yep.
Motherfucking rug, Derek.
I do got a beer though too. I'm an IPA guy, so.
Hey, man, that's okay.
Yeah.
All right, man. So, so last episode, we didn't do the cheers, so we can do the cheers, man. So just
cheers.
hands up to the dad
All right.
shit right here.
Cheers.
Aunt Banks.
Thank you, sir.
We didn't do the cheers last?
We did. Well, we did, but we weren't going to. Remember,
All
Ty
right.
called us on it.
Now we gotta take us
Thanks,
away.
Ty. All right, man.
Yeah, I like that Thai kid, man.
Oh yeah, it's good. See that? I'm gonna put this right here.
Do your thing.
Right? What do you think? Strong?
It's strong, but it isn't bad though. Honestly, I think
it's
we,
pretty good.
because we had a red wine before, and the other one we had, I don't like as much as this. This isn't bad, but maybe it's just me, man. Maybe I'm just getting this wine
You're
thing
slowly
down.
getting it down, man. You just got to slowly drift
Yeah,
into
I
it.
think the red's more of like an acquired taste, right? You drink like the rosé and all the white wines, and they're real sweet. So it's like, oh, I can associate this with whatever else you drink that's sweet, maybe a pop or something like that.
Right.
And you're like, oh shit. But then when you drink the red wine,
Yeah.
definitely an acquired taste. Some of
Yeah.
them have like real bitter.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I really don't like that one, but
Yeah,
oh, that's a good one.
I agree. Most of them taste like shit, but
You don't even drink that much anyway.
I don't drink it all. That's the
Yeah.
thing. It's kind of fun though.
There you go.
But the funny thing is, this is usually one glass. I'll be buzzing. I'll just be feeling it, man.
Yeah, fuck it.
Just-
and that's when the words just flow.
They
and
just
you're
flow.
like,
That's
yeah,
when we get the
right.
best content
Yeah.
too, man.
I mean, I'm always buzzing when I come on this show, so. I mean,
He just walked. He had that little goblet earlier, too, right?
Hey, man. So we're all Seahawks fans, man. So, man, so how do we all feel about this last game we had against the Cardinals, man? Let's just hash out real quick before
You just
we go.
ask my kids; they'll tell you exactly how I felt. Yeah, Dad was throwing his hat around, and I was just like, "Oh man, I was frustrated." I'm one of those guys, all right. So my wife will laugh. I watch the games by myself,
Yeah.
and I typically I watch the games by myself because I get pretty intense, and I'm yelling at the TV, and I'm just like, you know. And so actually, this time around, when I was watching the game, which was frustrating to me because I didn't play high school football.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I wanted to. Then I was just like, not gonna play. But I've always been just a big follower of football.
Right.
You know, my passion when I was in high school was actually to do broadcasting, sports journalism.
Yeah.
Right. I wanted to work for ESPN, and I wanted to, you know, because I was always that kind of the sports nerd. I mean, I played a lot of sports, played baseball and wrestling in high school, but it was really like defining, like looking at the plays and knowing how good this guy was or how good this person was. So during the game, I paused the TV before the play would start. And I'm like, look at this. You see where these guys are set up here?
Yeah.
And I'm like, how much you want to bet?
Yeah.
This is what he's gonna do. And sure enough, and I'm like, man, if I know that, you know, I always say that. Why don't they know that? What the heck's going on?
We had a
So
lot
that
of
was
years of that with
frustrating.
Seahawks, right?
I know, man.
Last few
Yeah.
years, we always had that shit because we always run the same stuff over and over. Anyways,
It's
sorry.
pretty
Nick.
predictable.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pretty
it is.
Pretty predictable.
this is different though. This year it's thinking we had a episode where I talked about that Schottenheimer will never win like a Super Bowl because he's so predictable. Mm-hmm. But what he's doing right now is different. I've never seen Schottenheimer. This is just a different type of offense.
Yeah, the offense, the play calling and everything.
Legit,
everybody, it's like, let Russ cook. You know, that's a big thing. And I'm like, all right, cool. I'm on the train.
Does he have a nickname or is it let Russ cook? That's his name.
Dangerous.
Yeah,
Dangerous.
Listen,
that's like his Instagram handle.
I don't do Instagrams. So that's
what
it is.
Dangerous. I think that's what
I like that.
I do. I like it. That dude's a stud, though. And if it wasn't for him, man, we'd lose a lot of games.
Oh,
if we didn't have a quarterback like him, you know. And of course, running backs are great. Wide receivers are great. But man, the way Russ puts it all together, I'm just like,
Russ puts it together, not just from a team, from a deal, all the way down. From the top to the bottom, he's a perfect franchise guy, all the way down to his community, man. He's awesome, man.
I was gonna say that the intangible, right, is just the leadership, the character. Yeah. Like the positive way he carries himself. It just, I swear that's why he wins some of these games. It's just because of the positiveness that he brings to the table every week.
Yeah, dude. It's you got to have the will, right? I mean, that's like you got to have the heart. You got to have the will, and you can be the best player in the world. But if you're on the sidelines pouting when you're losing, it don't matter how good you can be a Tom Brady, or somebody like that, and you're still gonna lose that game.
Yes,
or something,
sir.
So that's possible.
But man, losing that game to the Cardinals, man.
It got me here.
I'm all like, and maybe I'm just trying to make it feel better, so I keep saying these things.
Keep telling myself,
myself this stuff, right? We got to lose some games. We learn more when we lose.
Yeah.
Right. When we win, we kind of mask over things.
Yeah.
So it's good. But the worst thing about it was divisional, right? It's going to be, and our division is going to be...
It's stacked, dude.
It's stacked.
In my opinion, it's the best division in NFL right now. I mean, you just look at the records.
Everybody's tearing it 4 or 5 wins apiece, all of them.
And it's like, man, that hurts. Easy, so you can't slouch, right? We got the Niners, the Rams.
But they're saying this year, I mean, I think 4 teams, like everybody in our division can make it. That's the crazy part this year. So that'll be interesting into the playoffs.
Yeah, I'd like to be in the NFC East right about now, right?
Right?
Yeah, we can tear it up. Yeah.
The good thing about losing that game, though, too, I think, was they pulled the trigger this week on picking up, what's the name we're talking about? Carlos Dunlap from the Bengals, a defensive end, which we all know we need a pass rush. So I think that was going to happen eventually anyways, but I think losing that game was like the glaring thing.
We need somebody.
We need somebody now.
Yeah.
Like, this is ridiculous, man.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree. And I like him because he's, he's a Pro Bowler. And we were talking earlier, he's not aged, but, a little seasoned, for NFL standards, right? I mean, he's still a young dude. But his size, right? And so looking at those pass rushers is like, okay, how long are his arms, right? How big, and can he get in there, throw that hand up and get it? Yeah. So it's like, man, that stuff's important. You get somebody like Clowney, right, who's obviously was just a monster, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, oh, man. So to kind of mold, Jadeveon Clowney, we get somebody like that, maybe with that size. Yeah. I think it's probably why they went with him. But
the thing is, I think he's going to make a big impact, bro. I think he's going to hit hard.
I hope so.
It's just with the Seattle mindset.
Yeah.
You see, was it Greg Olsen was like, man, this is a whole different fucking football team, man.
Yeah.
These guys get pumped up in practice.
Like
that
culture.
It's a culture deal. Yeah. So there's Dunlap coming in with Bobby Wagner and, KJ right behind them.
Right.
I mean, dude, I think he's going to we probably need one more guy, but right now we can go with this kid, man, right here, and hopefully it works out for us, man.
I hope so, man.
We just need Jamal Adams back, bro, and I think
I know that dude's a stud. That first
he's
game,
a freak, bro.
Oh man, made such an impact.
Well, I think too. I look at that lost game too. We lost last week too, knowing the fact that we were missing him, right? Mm-hmm. Huge. Then we lose Shaquille Griffin the second half. Mm-hmm. We lose him. That's huge. Chris Carson goes out. That's huge. All these pieces. So it's like we're not at full force, and we should have won still. So bring those guys back in the mix. I think it's a different game. Easy, easy.
I think so. Yeah, defense has got to do something, but
So Nick, man. So we brought you in.
Oh man,
Because
get adjusted for this.
You are a stepdad.
And
you know what? Honestly, man, I thought this would be cool, man. One thing that I know and I want to do is find ways to add some value to other people and other dads, other young dads, other that are going through stuff that we've all been through. Mm-hmm. So I just wanted to know, kind of your perspective on what that's like, taking on that role as a stepdad, the father figure in that, and just kind of how the whole dynamic works, man. I think that for me it's interesting, but I think people can probably learn some stuff from that.
Yeah, it's and I don't call myself a stepdad, right?
Well, I don't call myself old either, but I'm getting there.
But it's like the reality of, okay, yeah, I am a stepdad, but it's my kids don't address me that way. Be like, oh yeah, this is my stepdad. This is my dad now.
That's cool.
This is my dad.
That's cool.
So of course at first, right, it's like, oh yeah, this is my my stepdad, or I guess it would be my mom's boyfriend at the time, right? So my wife and I have been together now 8 years, and the kids, it was kind of easy for me though, and I know it's not easy for everybody. Sometimes they step into the stepdad role, and the kids, like you see in the movies, right?
Yeah.
Where the son's already like 16, 17. He's like,
who the fuck is this dude coming up in my house?
Yeah, I'm the man of the house, and and you're not going to get near my mom and that kind of thing. So the transition was actually, because the kids were so young, it was a tad bit, I don't want to say easy, but it was a little bit easier than the kids being older, of course.
Yeah.
Because they were so young. It was like, my daughter was 1.5.
Yeah, so it pretty much was.
Yeah, she's 9, right?
Wow.
And so,
Bro, time flies, dude.
It does,
It doesn't
right?
seem like that long ago.
I know. And so she's like a big girl now, and, and it's like Paulie, he was only, what would I be, 5 or so,
Yeah.
So, of course, he's 13, and then, CJ's the oldest now, which is 16. But it's, it wasn't so different because I wasn't single.
Yeah.
Before my wife and I started dating. So I had a girlfriend before that who also had a kid.
Yeah.
Right. And, we weren't married or anything, but the relationship was serious, and he was a little boy too. He was, just 6 months old, when we first started dating. Wow. So after that though, it was, okay, so I've met this beautiful girl, and I'm like, okay, she's got 3 kids, which is not a problem. I don't have any of my own children
0 to
biologically.
100.
Now I have 3, kids. And then of course there's everything, all the dynamics that the obvious things you have to deal with, where it's like, you want the kids to like you, of course, right? And then you have to deal with everything around it, right?
Yeah.
So of course grandparents being concerned, like, okay, there's a new guy here,
that's true,
what's he like? Is he going to treat my
not
grandkids
only
bad?
Around my daughter, but around my grandkids too. So
Exactly. What kind of guy is he gonna, and so it was in my favor is that we met at church, and her dad knew me already, and knew my dad, right? So I was like, all right, cool, right? Bro, so he's like, oh, I know Nick, and yeah, he's a good guy, comes from a good family, that kind of thing. So I was like, all right, cool, I got that going for me, But then you get into the real life, right? You guys move in together, and it's like, okay, well, what do we do now? You guys call me Nick, whatever you want to call me, I'm cool with. But just like the surroundings, right? So their biological dad, dealing with that kind of stuff.
Yeah. That's
so
gotta be difficult. You'd hope that, I think ideally, right, it would be like mature biological dad, mature stepdad, ideally, right? And then you just kind of work as a collective still to kind of be
right.
To give a solid foundation, right?
Yeah, because some of those baby daddies, they don't want to let go. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that's your situation, but there's some cats that just be like,
oh yeah,
man, what's he doing over there? Me and you, hey, and you like, whoa, this is my spot, partner.
Right.
Well,
and I think too personally, what I would think too would be just the what you hear a lot about, is like the biological dad not really respecting the stepdad and filling a role as just an authority figure in the house or over somebody's kids. That seems to be an issue lots of times, man. Was that an easy transition, or did you deal with some issues?
No, of course there was, at first, because it's like, well, Moses Lake is small, right? We know that already, right? So then, I know the kid's dad, of course, right? So he's from here too.
Him? Like, did you know him before you got with her? Or did you...
Yeah. Like we grew up in the same neighborhood.
Oh,
and
so
stuff
you
like
knew
that.
him?
Oh yeah, and like I knew him.
You guys friends? You guys acquaintances?
Probably when in elementary school, you kind of, everybody's all friends with each other. Everybody's cool and shit. But after that, it's I went this way, and he kind of went that way, and so when that all came, I was
Yeah.
just like, oh shit, and it's like, and then you think of like rumors and things like that, but I'm like, well, it's whatever. Right. So I'm with her, I love the kids are great. And you do have to deal with that a little bit. And we did, we dealt with that a little bit, of course, I think I knew that was going to happen, but I have a pretty cool head where I'm just like, that's not my place. I'm not going to say anything.
Right.
Even if he says something about me, I'm just, that's fine,
good, man.
right? And you can,
Lots of times ego's in there, right?
It is,
it's
man.
hard to shut your mouth.
You bite your tongue, and you're like, shit, man, you really don't want to, but it's not for. At the end of the day, it's not for me.
Yeah.
So when that happens, it's like, well, it's about the kids.
Yeah.
Right? It ain't about me. It ain't about anybody else. It's just about the kids. Whatever's best for them. So I dealt with that. When we first started dating, of course.
Yeah.
Then as dating became more serious, then it was like, and then her family knew and everybody knew, like, okay, this guy's not going anywhere, obviously. This guy actually loves the kids, loves my daughter. And, I mean, within a year, well, actually, after 1 year, we got engaged, And so, actually, 1 year to the day, I proposed to her. So the day, asked her to be my girlfriend was the same day I asked her to be my wife. So there was that, and then I was like, okay, well, he's about to be dad now, or stepdad or whatever you want to call it. So
what was the first time one of them called you dad? But do you remember that? Like, was it like?
I do actually, and it was and I'm pretty sure it was the boys really, both of them, and I have this memory. So we, used to live in this little kind of rinky-dink house, of course, when we were first getting together. And I can remember the boys asking me, like, what do we, well, they didn't ask me directly. They asked, my wife, they asked Naomi. They're like, well, what do we call him or whatever? And she's like, ask him, and I can hear her saying that. I'm like, oh man, here they come.
You was getting ready, huh?
They're going to ask me now, and
right.
what do we, and I'm like, you call me whatever you want. You call me whatever you want. No pressure. You call me Nick. And you call me dumbass, whatever the hell you want to call me, And then they just kind of started calling me dad on their own. Yeah. And of course I would, I've never, even if it was day one, and they were like, hey dad, I wouldn't be like, hey, don't call me that. It's just, okay, and then you take it. And then, of course I would talk to, my wife or girlfriend and be like, hey, they're calling me dad, but, it was actually, I guess when they started calling me dad, it was more like kind of like a little badge of honor. Like, okay, I've made it. Like, okay, they love me, they trust me, they're calling me dad now. All right, cool. So you better act like a dad, right? You better. That's the role you have now. So that was cool. When they.
I bet it'd be not knowing, but I bet it'd feel like an emotional, like cool, like man, dude, like because the emotions you bring to the role as a father, right? You're bringing it, and
right.
But it's got to feel weird too at the same time. Like okay, like all right, how do I would think, me personally, I'd be like, all right, cool, that's what I want, but also how do I respond to that too? It'd be kind of like, just a little weird maybe early on,
Well, so. It's really because I think when they say dad, the things that run through my mind at least is like, oh shit, I'm dad. Okay, so. Dad's supposed to, and I think of everything my dad did with me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the discipline, right? The talking, let's talk it out if there's a problem or something like that. Right. So, okay, teaching them things you got to do. Okay, all the things that a dad is supposed to do, all the things that my dad did for me, I'm like, okay, cool. So that's kind of what I have to do, and which was no problem for me. My parents have always said too, and my wife tells me, it's easy for you because you Nick have a father's heart, right? And I had growing up, my dad was the shit. My dad was awesome. Even all my friends loved my dad. My dad was always a jokester and always real funny, and they were just like, oh shit, that Nick's cool dad's cool, man. Nick's dad's cool.
Derek's a cool dad.
Shit, man.
Derek's a cool dad.
I think I am too. Honestly, with my kids sometimes, man, like I'm
becoming a cool dad.
You are. And he's a hard ass. He's cool. Yeah. He's laid back a little bit.
That's pretty tough, man. I was a fucking maniac. Because
sometimes you gotta be though.
Sometimes you gotta be, especially being my kids, being Black and Moses Lake, bro. You gotta fucking be extra tough on them just to make sure that, hey man, motherfuckers ain't giving you no pass. So listen here, motherfucker.
Like Mr. T.
I wake them up in the middle of the night, hey motherfucker. They're like, what's the matter? I was like, Just be ready.
Just be ready. What am I supposed to get ready for? They're like fucking
You
getting
will
dressed.
dream about this shit, motherfucker.
Yeah. See him at the front door with a fucking backpack. Dad said be ready.
That's Anthony, dude.
Yeah.
So
You'd be like, I didn't know what to get ready for.
That's the thing is that our boys would do some shit in the sack. The boys would do some shit, and Derek be talking to his kids. Hey, no, you guys know better, and you guys, I'd be like, get the fuck in the house. You guys getting ass whooping for that, bro. You know.
Hey, I should have done more what Anthony was doing.
That's hilarious.
But what's weird though is like with my oldest son, with little Derek, I didn't have to do that stuff, dude. Like, and he got his whoopings, right? Like, I believe in spankings, I do, and all my kids have got them. But little Derek was
so easy. That was
so
like, this is gonna be
easy,
a cakewalk,
dude.
right?
Cakewalk, man. And trust me, he dealt with some stuff, but it was. He was the type that I could have the conversation, and he'd be like, "All right, Dad, all right," and he just got it.
Yeah.
So I thought, shit, man, I got this dad thing in the bag, dude.
Yeah,
I got it handled, dude. And it worked out like that for a little bit with my second, but then it turned like exact opposite.
Right. Yeah.
And dude, my oldest one, bro,
fuck?
he was like at 2 fucking leaving the house, like getting out in the middle of the night, walking outside and fucking, doing all types of shit that I had to be hard on him. So I guess I would kind of help me out. But so out of the kids that you I don't want to, but which ones do you bump the head with the most?
Probably CJ, who's my oldest.
The oldest,
right? And not anymore really, but definitely, in those, really not even in the beginning. There was like a certain stage, right? And so
it's all ages too, right?
Was he both like 12, 13-ish kind of somewhere around?
Yeah, exactly, right? Because when they're little, 8, 9 years old, and I got a loud voice anyways, right? So like when I yell, even the dog feels like he's in trouble, when I'm just like, hey, what the, and I just got that kind of just like my dad, right? Like a booming voice, and it's like shit. Everybody in the house feels scared, like, oh shit, Dad's mad. So those first couple years, he's 8, 9, 10, even typical 8, 9, 10-year-old type shit, where you're just like, all right, you fuss at him a little bit or whatever. And I've never spanked him before or anything like that. I don't spank. But I got spanked. Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, I'll spank my kid if they have to. But I'm like, fuck, man, I feel bad. You know what I mean? Like I spanked my daughter one time. Yeah. And I was like, oh, my heart was broken. And I'm just like, and I like opened the door and I'm like, come here, and the important thing was, my wife was telling me too, and she's helped me a lot with it, of course. I didn't, I'm not apologizing for being upset because obviously what you did, whatever it may be, was still, not right. Yeah. Whether you're, punching somebody or, doing something you weren't supposed to be, that part of it's still not right. But, sometimes I try to apologize for how I react instead, and I know sometimes I could be a little harsh too. And I'm just like, fuck, damn it. I done screwed up, Yeah. So
it's hard though,
come back
dude.
and be like, those apologies, right? Because you're, men are men, and sometimes we're a little too prideful, and I know I can be too. So it's like, fuck, I fucked up, like I need to say sorry or something like that.
I think it's important, bro. The apology thing as a dad is important to a kid. Like when we know, like we may have overstepped some boundaries, because that's how I'm the same way in that. But man, goddamn, man, like my kids sometimes do. Like I'm like, but they don't ever apologize, though, and they should be, like. They should be apologizing.
Are you serious?
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, hold on a second, because I want to be able to. I'm just the type of I'm trying to over communicate. Probably right, because I always felt like more is better than less, right? So every time I discipline, but you do a good job. I try to follow someone he does, but I should have started that from the get go, right? But anyways,
Too little, too late.
I'm like, you kids need to apologize, goddamn, not me, man. I'm the dad.
Yeah.
But I mean, I learned so much from this guy, and people know on the show is that if I didn't have him around, I'll probably be fucking in jail, because it was just like to the extremes to where it's kind of like, me not having a dad. I was like, my kids aren't gonna go down the wrong path or whatever. Right. And then I have Derek over here, and he's just like all laid back, and he spanked and did all that stuff like that, but he was just so laid back. But he's still he still got through his kids. So I'm like, I gotta pick some of these traits up, man. I don't need to be so much of a dick dad,
Right.
So now I'm pretty laid back now, and I never thought I told myself that my kids would never be my friend, but now like they're like my best friends now.
Well, my oldest is too. I mean, like we're pretty tight, what I mean? Yeah. And he's 16 now, and the way we joke with each other, I could never joke with my dad like that.
Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah.
You know, my dad would be like, what'd you say to me? You know, like we play jokes on each other and shit like that. And so, you know, we are friends, but he understands when I'm mad and when we need to have those talks.
Yeah, he knows.
You know, and he's like, okay, you know,
enough
playtime's over. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sorry, you know, and apologize. But I think the biggest thing I've learned, though, just being a dad in general, is I was always a kid who all my dad had to do was yell at me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, you know. Like,
I was scared
sorry,
shitless.
man.
There's kids that are like that, dude.
Yeah.
They're just like that. They just yell at them and they.
And that was it, man. I think my dad wasn't much of a spanker either. He spanked me a couple times maybe for some bullshit, but what I was always like trying to do with the boys, and I even have trouble with it now too, is I expect them to respond how I would respond.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but they're not me.
Yeah.
You know, like that. He ain't me.
Yeah.
He's his own person, and I have to understand that and try to, you know, like in the workplace, you know, you yell at an employee, you know, like, you know, that you can yell at Bob. Yeah, and Bob's going to take it and be like, oh, okay, yes, sir, I understand. Yeah. And then you go and yell at Jerry, and Jerry's going to break down and cry. Yeah. You're like, ooh, okay, so you kind of style flex. Mm-hmm. You're like, all right, I can't yell at Jerry that way. I know that he responds differently. Yeah. And so that's been probably one of the most challenging things because I'm pretty straightforward, you know. And it's like, if I say it, I mean it, and I mean what I say. You know, I kind of have that personality sometimes. So it's really understanding, like, oh shit, okay, I can't yell at Paul the way I fuss at CJ because you know, and either you got to be careful either way you go. But I'm like, it's hard understanding.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you 100% because same way. I believe it was my kids, right? It's holy shit, dude. It's like night and day how you deal with them, man. Sometimes I'm shaking my head. I'll even have a conversation with my oldest son, right, who's 23. I'm like, man, dude, like, you know what I just dealt with your little brother? And he'll be like, I don't get it, man. Like, what's wrong with these kids? And, you know, like, because his mindset, he's always been very mature when it comes to just accepting responsibility for an action, good or bad. He just gets it, right? Right. So it's funny, man. So, but on the discipline topic, though, have you ever being a stepdad, but you know, have you dealt with an issue when it comes to discipline where the kids have thrown the card out there like, well, you're not my real dad? Because I have friends and I know people of that. That's the battle, right? They're really good and the kids love them until they discipline them. And it's like, you're not my real mom. You're not my real dad. And that's a struggle. Have you personally dealt with any of that?
Never that. My kids have never said that to me. Yeah, they've never been like, you know, you're not my real dad, or you know, you can't talk to me like that or whatever. But you know, they've done, you know, other things, I think, to maybe push my buttons sometimes.
Just a little extra.
A little, you know, like, oh, you wait till mom comes home. I'm gonna tell her that you're yelling at me or something like that. And they're like, oh shit, you know. Right. Yeah. But they've never done that. But I think kind of the underlying of it is maybe, you know, me and my oldest have argued for real. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like we're shouting at each other, and I think, you know, and I don't know what he's feeling at the time other than maybe anger and pain or whatever he might be feeling, right? Yeah. But I'm like, I just have to, like, I've tried at least, and I haven't been very good at it, but just take a step back and be like, okay, he might not be yelling at me. You know, he's yelling at me, Nick, but he might be frustrated with something else or whatever, and that he's dealing with right now. Yeah. And I'm the guy that's here, right? So then he's taking it out on me. And I think we do that with each other all the time, even our spouses.
Yeah, you know? Nick, man, you're a thinker, bro.
No, hey, dude, it is so good. And you know what, bro? You and I really, bro, like, and I think that's why we connect well is we're really on the same wavelength when it comes to all this stuff. Because I wholeheartedly, and I'm not going to lie right now, right? This is dad shit, right? I battle with some of this stuff because when I talk to Anthony's a very strict and stern. Mm-hmm. His kids know that they love him, right? Right. So I admire Anthony on how he's handled his kids because they're tough. They're tough, right? They know when their dad says, you know, you're gonna whoop him when you get home, right?
Yeah, they know it's for real.
They're like, I know, Dad, but they're not necessarily upset with their dad because they know, right? Yeah. However, I'm on the other side trying to be the guy that's always thinking of the feelings, but we also know that kids just deal with things differently, right? And we've dealt with some shit in our house that I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Like, why am I dealing with this with my kid? Like, why is my kid dealing with this
Oh
stuff
yeah,
mentally,
that's
right?
yeah, that's
So
that's huge.
it's funny, bro. It's just funny how every kid's different, but I get it. And Anthony, like
but like I said,
how
it's not saying that what I'm doing is the right way.
It's not,
that,
but every household is different. Every kid is different. You know, but what you've done with your boys has been good, right?
Right, yeah, they're good kids, you know.
We don't know until these motherfuckers get older.
right.
Crazy.
Which is true, but that's what I'm saying though.
Right.
It's just it's tough. Parenting's tough, man.
It is. And the hard thing was for me was that I thought that they were gonna be all the same.
Yeah.
And you guys know that they're because we have no like we can't like make what our kids do out there. It's like they did it, and that's not a reflection of our family. It's just this motherfucker just went out there and did some dumb shit.
Sure.
So the whole deal is you can raise the best kid, give him everything that he wanted with that, and he's gonna go out there. And kids make fuck ups, but then some kids make more fuck ups. But don't just say that. Hey, you're embarrassing our family because you fucked up. It's like, no, you embarrassed yourself, idiot. You know? Because everybody knows you came from a fucking good home. Because your other brothers are fine. But I had this thing with my boys is I was like, listen here, dude. If you ain't going to listen to what the fuck's going on here, get the fuck out of here, dude. Because you're not going to fuck up in here because you start fucking up. He thinks that he's going to be able to fuck up. And then he thinks that he's going to be fucked up. So you fuck up. Man, you fucking enough for get the fuck out of here. Yeah. But the thing is that this is the thing.
Your boys respond well to that though, right? Your boys have and just knowing you and your family dynamic. They respond well to that, and they respect that. Some and other kids necessarily wouldn't, because I know I've dealt with some stuff in our own home, where that necessarily doesn't work, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? That works with Anthony, man.
You gotta try a different approach.
So everything is all trial and error. It's like, all right, man. So like you, I always try to put myself in their shoes a little bit. Like, what are they dealing with, man?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's difficult, man.
I wanted to ask you this, and I don't know if you ever thought about it yet, but I've always seen that, having because are there fathers and grandparents? Are they in close around here?
The grandparents are, so that'd be my wife's. My wife's parents. Yeah, they're super involved. I mean, super involved.
And see, I've always been scared, like even bringing in like family members that were like nieces and nephews. I was always nervous because, when you bring a kid in and you take them, they could always say, you know what, man, fuck you, I'm gonna go over here.
Yeah.
And so they don't have to really. They turn about like 14 or 15. They don't like the rules.
Oh yeah.
So they think they can jump ship, and you see a lot of good parents. And the kid goes to the house where there's no rules,
right?
So they can act and do what the fuck that they want, and they realize after it's maybe too late, and they're adult, like fuck, I should have stayed here,
right?
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, we've had exactly. We've had that. My oldest, he's he loves his grandparents, and they were really close, right? Because that was my wife's, first kid, right? And so grandparents, they attach themselves a little differently, to the first kid, right? And they definitely have, and so, he has said plenty of times, growing up or whatever, well, fine, I just want to go live with Granny and Papa.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, we'll go then, if you want to. If you think it's going to be different there, it ain't, and so this is your home. This is where you need to be, and so, and then they say that when they're younger, he hasn't said anything like that in, quite some time, but it's like dealing with that aspect too, where it's like, you really think it's going to be, good for you to do that? It's like my sister, right? My older sister is my half sister. Mm-hmm. So my dad adopted her when she was like 2.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. And, she didn't know until I think she was like 12 or 13, when my parents told her. And she didn't take that very well, and it was that, well, I'm going to go live with my real dad then, and blah, blah, blah. And then, then my mom, is like, well, where is he?
Yeah.
He ain't here, so it's kind of like, this is your dad, and then finally when that, the kid starts to reflect and kind of think about it, and they kind of gain their bearings, and they're like, oh shit, you're right, and so that's happened before too, where it's like, okay, fine, I want to go live with so-and-so or so-and-so, and you're like,
well,
really?
that's good. That's good that her parents are like, they're not like the crackheads over there. So where he goes, it's kind of, I'm gonna be up 24/7 kicking it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Running the streets because there's and we all seen it happen. We seen a good kid in a home, and then he's like, I'm going to go stay with my fucking dad. And he goes to dad, and dad's out kicking it, partying, smoking, kids in there smoking weed with him. They're kicking it like homies. And he looks at 10, 15 years later, and the kid's in jail, but he should have stayed at home with his motherfucking mom.
Right, yeah. That's true. And I appreciate my in-laws, for like, whenever he would say that and they would have a little heart-to-heart with him.
What's up.
They're like,
That's what's up, bro.
You need to go home, mijo.
Yes.
You need to go home. That's your mom. That's your dad. And I'm like, so I appreciate that because, it kind of like where he thought it was going to be easy maybe,
well,
and then he comes back.
What you guys are.
Exactly. And I'm like, oh, thank you for that.
And those other the older ones seen it or kind of knows about it, so they're not even going to get close to even thinking like that because that shit's done.
Right.
And that's why I was curious if you experienced that or have you went through it.
And it's you deal with it and you just talk it out. As a little family. I don't know how we've had millions of little family meetings. And sit around the table and Dad's I'm that kind of guy where I'm like, everybody around the table now. We're talking, and they're like, oh shit, everybody, and I'm like, I just kind of lay down the law or whatever, and I tell them when I'm having these little heart to hearts, like you said, as a thinker, I'll tell them too, like I don't expect you to, I know everything I'm saying is not going to stick like glue, but all I'm hoping is that you grasp at least 1% of what I'm saying. And if I've had enough conversations like these, you grasp enough now to understand when you're older now, okay, that shit ain't right. And, I did make a mistake. Or when you have your own kids, you can kind of push that.
Well, man, I think, I don't know how you were, I know as a young kid, I was a knucklehead. You know what I'm saying? So it's funny what people think, of sometimes what my kids do as far as they're bad or they've done something bad, what they think of them, what they probably think of me and my wife.
Oh yeah.
And then I look and think of, dude, all my kids, bro, are better than what I was.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And that's the way it should be. So
that's what's funny, dude, because I'm like, dude, like we've got to allow kids to grow, right? And grow through what they go through. And what we don't realize is today's dynamic is so much fucking different. But I was a worse kid, dude. And the funny thing is this, a lot of those people out there, they look at me like I'm just like I'm a good guy, which I am, right? But like if I don't have, I was a fucking knucklehead, dude. I was a bad kid. I was plenty of opportunities away from being somebody else. Right?
Yeah.
So we've got to allow kids to fucking grow, man. And so it's just weird how we look at people, we judge people, and we judge kids. We have adults judging kids like they're adults, and I hate that.
I know,
bro.
man, that drives me nuts. That's
But one thing you got to give your wife props though, bro.
Oh yeah,
you got to give her props, man, because there's a lot of females out there that got good dudes that stepped in the same situation that you stepped in, and they won't let that man step up and be like, this is how it is, this is how it's gonna be, and she's following your lead, and it's basically how to raise men, a woman. There's not one woman out there that can teach a young man how to be masculine. There's just no way.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that because that actually is kind of a question I had too. Is how did your wife take you filling a disciplinary role? Like, did she have any issues with it? Was she ever hesitant a little bit? Like, how did you handle
naturally,
that?
right? She's a mom, So Mama Bear, comes out or whatever, and
my wife does it to me still.
Yeah, you start yelling at the kids, and she's like, don't yell at my kids like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, okay, like, fuck my bad, I'm gonna get in trouble here.
Because you're trying to fill the role,
right?
And
sometimes
the head of the household, and
I think, and maybe this, it comes back kind of like to the stepdad thing, where you can try a little too hard, to be that disciplinary factor. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm dad now, so you're gonna, do what I say, right? And you end up pushing way too hard to where the kids are just like, screw you, man, I ain't gonna listen to you, right? And I think you're a douchebag now, and they're like, I ain't gonna listen to this guy. Right. So to have that balance, which my wife and I, definitely have. She's quick to, after, because we typically, of course it happens, we argue in front of the kids or whatever, but whenever there's something serious, to go on or whatever, my wife's very good at, whenever we get in the room, and it's like, then she sits down and she like talks to me about, hey, I didn't but the way she puts it, to me is like, fuck, I feel, I feel like a dick now, what I mean? Like, oh man, she's not like making me feel this small and being like, oh man, you were this, and talking down to me, right? So it's more of like a support thing where she's like, I would just, maybe approach it
Some
different.
good constructive
Yeah,
criticism.
and then she tells me they're not going to respond how you do or how you did.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, shit.
I've had my
you're
wife
right.
check me plenty of times like that, and I think the best thing is to make sure we don't do it in front of the kids, because then it gives them more of leverage to not.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So that's good, man. But
That's exactly what it is.
my oldest son, man, right? He's with a girl that he loves, and and she has a son.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Right? So he's kind of dealing with some of the stuff,
Sure.
but nothing. They haven't had any issues yet. But I just curious, like when it comes to the point for him to have to really feel the disciplinary role, like how that dynamic's gonna work for them, and they have a great relationship, and he's feeling the dad role like a champ, man. I'm proud, dude. I'm really proud of what he's doing, but I know when it comes to all of a sudden you gotta discipline a child, it could be like, where do I stand here? It's weird, So
And there's different factors, that deal with it too. I mean, if you have, as a stepdad, any stepdad in the world, when it comes to that discipline factor, the first couple of things at least you think of, right? Is so, I don't want to discipline too hard or whatever. Then my wife, then that causes an argument outside of the lines, right? Yeah. And then two is, if that kid's dad is still around, let's say, and some aren't, let's call it what it is. A lot of them aren't, which is unfortunate. But it's like, if they were, well, shit, I just discipline. And then the dad's like, oh, we discipline my kid like that, man. Then you guys got some sort of beef or whatever,
even
right?
though you probably should probably be on the same page, but it creates this weird macho.
Right. Yeah. And I would probably be that guy if I had my own, a biological kid, right?
Yeah.
And then he was being raised, and then that dude disciplined him, depending on what it was.
It'd be tough to handle. It would be tough for any of us to handle, man. You have to be.
So I get it.
You have to be really mature, and it have to be both sides that are really mature. Because if you're disciplining my kid, but I know you're an immature fucking jerk 90% of the time,
right?
I'm gonna have a problem.
Oh yeah.
So you both have to be kind of thing on the same level.
Or you might just be, one might be like you and one might be like me. You like, I don't like that guy's fucking attitude.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, he needs to talk to my kid to figure what it's out. And I had my wife, she kind of like told me like I should talk to him, because I would just figure out, okay, you did this. That's, you fucked up. You know you done fucked up, And then I would whoop him, and then everybody knows that story. But yeah, I would just basically, I wouldn't talk to him, and then my wife would be like, you should go talk to him. Like, talk to him. The fucking belt just talked to him. I was talking to him when I was whooping him. You know? So that's one of those things. But at the same time, it's kind of like, so I learned how to the communication with the kids, and like all my boys are different,
Yeah.
So.
It's really weird though too. You say that, because when I got ass whoopings, then plus I got plenty of them. My dad never explained shit, dude.
Yeah,
it was
like, why?
exactly
and
why,
the room,
right? And you got your ass whooped, and you just deal with it. And it was whatever. It's weird now, because when I discipline my kids, man, and not my oldest one, and not my youngest one, right? When I discipline those two, they're good. They get it. My two in the middle, they're pissed off at me for days. I'm like, I'm always like, God dang it, you have no reason to be pissed off at me, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it's just weird, the dynamic and the difference, because when I was a kid, my dad wouldn't say shit to me. Right. Go get the belt.
Right.
Yeah, and you just got it. But I got this weird thing that I do at my house. It's this. It's a chain of command. I have a chain of command that runs at my house. So it's me, my wife, my oldest son, and it goes down to my youngest son. My youngest son's just fucked. Right. So it's to where like when me and my wife's gone, my oldest son, he had to be maybe like 13, 14, and his little brother acted up, so he had to spank him. And he was like, "Man, you really gonna spank me, man?"
Oh like, shit! Man.
Like, I gotta spank you, man. You shouldn't have did that. I talked to mom and dad, because he called me. He's like, so he did this, and I said, well, man, you better whoop him. Man, that's
what's up, dude.
And he was
that's
like,
some good stuff though, man.
And he was like, all right, Dad, I'm gonna spank you.
Oh shit! Oh man,
so he was just like,
that's hilarious.
He was like, and they were telling me the story. They was telling me the story the other day. The youngest one was like, man, he was gonna whoop me, man. He whooped me, and they were talking. The middle son was saying. The young was like, man, you really going to do this? You really going to do this?
Yeah, huh?
And so the oldest one started whooping him. He says, he sounds just like you, Dad. Like you were whooping him. He was talking just like you. So it's just one of those things, the chain of command. But it's this weird thing with what I let my boys do. And my wife has a hard time doing it. But I need, and it's probably not right, but I have to have the younger son submit. To his brother, to his older brother. He has to do it. So it took for a while for the youngest one to submit to to his the middle one. Took him some time because they're closer in age, but I just they kind of it's a bond thing that now they're the closest thing because they bond.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think that, bro. I think it's so important because we battle that in our household. We've dealt with that because I have 4 boys, right? And but I think that if something happens to you, man, there needs to be a certain chain of command, a level of respect for my older sibling, right? Like there needs to be some structure, it needs to be there, bro. And I don't necessarily have that here. Even though my oldest son is a strong, big, tough kid, like he can whoop his little brother's asses. And I've told him a few times, like, hey, I said, whoop his ass, dude. Like just whoop his ass, man. And I know he can with ease, right? And he hasn't done it yet, but he's like, man, he'd be like, man, dude, like so-and-so, man, like, did test me, dude. I said, fucking do it, man. You have to, because I think you have to establish that too, right?
Right.
You have to get to some certain point in the house, and with brothers, where you just have to establish,
right?
Hey, when mom and dad ain't here, man, I'm the man, dude.
Yeah.
Plain and simple. And it should always trickle down. There should be respect.
And I think
my kids can't handle it though. My kids can't handle it.
It's a little
please.
With it. Mature.
Hey, my kids
do
would.
you have any siblings?
My kids would run away, dude.
Yeah, so I only have so I have an older sister and a younger sister, and that's it. I mean, I grew up with somebody who was like a brother. I mean, he was Chris. He was my next door neighbor. He's just a few years older than me, but we literally grew up from diapers together. He's actually who I call my brother. So if I say, oh yeah, I'm on the phone with my brother, everybody knows, okay, he's probably talking to Chris,
Yeah.
And so for him, and us growing up, I mean, shit, yeah, we used to fight all the time or whatever. Different households, of course, right? But it was one of those things where even our parents, I remember one time I got out of hand at his house, and my dad told his dad, go ahead and fucking spank him.
Yeah,
go ahead, man.
Yep, that's how we grew up too, man.
And it was like, oh shit, I'm gonna spank my, and I was like, that's kind of weird, but
his nephew,
but I'm just like, exactly, and it's what it was, and of course he had hurt my feelings. I remember when he did, and it hurt and he apologized. He was a nice guy.
Hey, I would have whooped his kids. I would have whooped his kids, but Daphne was like, you ain't gonna test me. I would have whooped his kids.
But yeah, that's the bomb.
Little Derek was the only one that wouldn't get ass whooped, but the rest of them would have.
Yeah, they'd be like, no, you ain't gonna touch my kid.
Hey,
Daphne,
Daphne's mom. I'm sure like your wife. Daphne's fucking mama bear to the extreme, dude. Like don't say nothing bad about my kid. I'm like, he probably deserved that one, man. Like,
oh no, my wife's the same way, man. She don't take no shit, dude. She was like, oh yeah, she'll tell you straight up. She don't care how big you are or nothing. She'll tell you straight up.
The fuse that you and your brother had, that you was like he was. But did you guys, was it like this thing that you guys got this understanding from fighting so much, right?
Oh yeah, always. And that, with growing up too, even though, my dad was a superstar, he was, he was your factory, dad who's working swing shift and night shift and all these. And so a lot of times, he wasn't home because he was working or overtime, wasn't coming to baseball games or whatever. And so, my brother would, right? So then Chris would. He would be that guy, to teaching me how to play baseball, teaching me how to, doing those things. He's, I'm 30 next year. He's a few years older than me. Yeah, 3 years older.
So a question, do you feel like you fathered differently because of that? Are you with your dad not being present at some things and working so much, working nights, do you father it a little bit differently because of that? Do you make sure you fill in those gaps?
Man, I am there when it comes to the kids and sports, especially. I'm a big sports guy growing up myself, and so I'm like, every practice, anything that has to do with it, I'm there. I'm waking up it's just wrestling, right? So my oldest is a wrestler, and he's pretty damn good too. And it's unfortunate the school he goes to now doesn't have wrestling, but we're getting up at 5 a.m, and I'm in the garage with him while he's on the treadmill. We're cutting weight and and I'm putting him on a diet. Oh yeah, I'm all in, and I'm like, and I'm literally like, that guy who's like, while he's running on the treadmill, I'm barking at him, I'm like, hey man, what you're doing now, those other guys ain't doing, and I didn't have that. My dad wasn't an athlete or anything like that growing up. I'm sure he played a few sports kind of here and there, but when it came to that, I'm thankful that I had you know, an older brother or somebody who was older than me, you know what I mean, who kind of like took me as a little brother to show me those things. Because there was a lot of things, you know, there's a lot of shit that we can't learn from our parents that we learn from our friends. You guys learn from each other, right? You know, and stuff. So
shit, I'm still learning right now, man.
And we're always learning. I think that's the thing too, is that
if you're smart, you are.
When you think you figured it out already and it's all done, you know, like, I mean, the way I talk to my oldest son today is not how I talked to him a month ago. You know, because I'm learning different things, and honestly, I'm learning it obviously through experience and stuff like that. But I'm learning a lot from my wife, actually. You know, my wife, she's, you know, the smartest person I know. And so she's always like, hey, you know, and maybe you should try this one. Maybe you should talk to him like this, or maybe you should try this. And that wasn't real cool. And make sure you say sorry. You know, if I have a hard time saying sorry. Just the other day, you know, I yelled at my middle boy. I yelled at Paulie, you know, or something stupid. I'm like, get your fucking ass downstairs. You know,
bro, dude, my wife makes me feel.
And I felt bad knowing that he was taking out the dog, right? He has a hard time taking out the dog, right? So I'm like, and I know that. So I'm like, you know, I got up at 7. It was the weekend. You know, fuck, man, I got up at 7 in the morning. I'm still in my underwear and shit. And I'm like, oh, man. I go out. I let him out to the dog, right? And fast forward like an hour later, the whole house is awake now. And, you know, Paul, I tell him, take the dog outside. And he was like, arguing back, not really arguing, but being like, I already took him out. I'm like, I don't care, take him out. I'm like, no, you didn't. I took him out. You know. So then we're sitting there like battling, and little did I know, while I was in the bathroom, my wife had already told him to take him out, and he did. And I'm like, oh shit, you know. So then I had to go back, and then I'm like, fuck, okay. So then she's like, you better tell him sorry, you know, for fussing at him. My wife's quick to put me in check, which is fine. You know, obviously I respect my wife enough to understand. I'm like, so then I had to tell him sorry, which was fine. But I want him to know that it's okay. Like, you know, I teach my kids too, like some of the manly things that we're not supposed to do. Not supposed to cry, not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to that. I tell my kids, go ahead, man. If you're passionate enough, whatever it is, it just made you cry right now. It is what it is, man. You know, just use it as fuel, suck it up. I know you're crying. Don't cry all day, please. But we all should have
a little window where we can be emotional. We should, man.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's okay. You know, it's funny you're talking about the sorry thing, right? Hey, dude, my wife don't apologize for nothing, dude. Like let's just say hypothetically, which we've been together 25 years, married for 20, right?
Fuck, 25 years.
Yeah, hey, I look good, huh? Like you would think so. But she don't apologize for nothing, dude. So we'll get in an argument over something, and usually it's
women usually don't apologize.
Usually it's minor shit. Well, I'm like usually like, so like a day will pass, right, and we're still not like talking. It's still kind of funky, and I'm like, all right, man, like she gonna fucking apologize now? Like another day passed. I'm like, fuck it, all right, dude. Like
24 hours is gone.
I'll just
it's
go.
Not gonna happen.
But listen, anyways. But this is how I work, man. All right. Okay, I'm like I don't like drama. I don't like fucking so. I'll go fucking apologize. I'm always like, why am I fucking apologizing here? Why? But I've done this for 20 years, right? Like, whatever. But the funny thing is this. Like, you're talking about your wife makes you feel bad. You need to go apologize. Dude, the other day, it's totally fucking random. My dog, he's a Rottweiler. He's a good dog, but he has this thing where he'll go in the trash if the kids throw something in the trash to go eat it real quick, right? It's a dog thing, right?
It's a dog.
But it irritates the shit out of me. So the other day, he goes in there right away, and so I smack him. And I must have smacked him in the perfect spot because I can't hurt this big-ass dog ever,
I just saw him. He's huge.
Yeah, so I smacked him because and he ran off. So my wife was like, what'd you do? What'd you do? So anyway, so I'm like, Daphne, he's in the garbage. It's bullshit. Like, he needs to know, like... So I'm sitting there for 2 minutes. I'm like... Fuck, man. She made me feel so bad. So I'm like... I call my dog over. I'm like... Come here, dog.
Fuck that dog.
I know. That's the way it should be. She has me feeling so bad that I'm apologizing to the dog like it's my kid.
No, but you gotta understand. I'm not trying to go, but those are her emotions. You gotta have your emotions.
I do.
Bro. Like,
I do. I just don't like the discord in the house, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just like to just. I'm happy, man.
The house vibes off.
I'm bullshit.
I
mean, like, if my wife's wrong, she better fucking apologize, man. But it takes her a little bit. It takes her some time to do it, but she'll do it, or I'm gonna be. We won't talk.
That's right.
Especially like because women got a different wavelength than we do, bro. It's like there's different.
Oh, they're women.
But
Women
we
and men are
think
completely different, right?
Yeah, I think like that's fucking wrong. Like, you know, so you should fucking apologize.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't know. I just.
Yeah, and they do.
I can't do it. I can do it for a bit because I'm like, you know what? I'm putting my foot down. I'm not apologizing for this one. Then eventually I'm fucking apologizing.
You do. Yeah.
I'm just like,
I do
dude,
the same thing.
Like, man, like, I don't like to.
This is what you do. This is what you do, man. When she pisses you off like that, bro. No, serious, man. Because she ain't gonna see it coming unless she listens to this show.
Smack her?
No, you just be like, one more. And when it's time to go to bed, you've been with her for how long? You've been with her for 20 that long?
Yeah.
You never fucking got your deal. It don't sound like and went and slept on the couch, have you? You get so mad, like you need to apologize. Go sleep on the couch. She been there laying there.
Oh yeah,
yeah, bro.
I'm sorry. That never go over in my house. Yeah. Oh no, I'll be the first one on the couch. Oh man.
You know, like I would say that me and my wife, we've been together for fucking a long time. It's been over like 25, 7.
Yeah, that's a long time.
28 years. I slept on the couch twice.
Damn.
Yeah, I slept on the couch twice.
I slept on the couch more than twice. I gotta admit.
Yeah. I've slept on the couch twice.
Were you in the doghouse?
Yeah, but the thing about my wife, though, you know, bless her heart, you know, she'll actually come out there and she'll get me. Yeah. You know, and she'll be like, you know, get your fucking ass up, come on, you know, come sleep in the room.
You know, you're like sitting there waiting for it too, right?
Like, I know. Yeah, so you really can't sleep. It's like, you know, Santa's coming. You're like, oh, with one eye open and shit. You're like, hey, is she gonna come get me or what? You know, you're like, oh man. Then you end up falling asleep. It's like, shit, she never came and got me.
I'm the same way, dude.
Yeah,
I'm like,
damn, what happened?
She didn't come get me tonight.
It's usually because she fell asleep, though.
Like, I can do this shit by myself. I can be in my apartment by myself.
2 weeks and shit. Like,
whatever.
Yeah, fuck that shit. But yeah, I mean, that's just. I mean, but
holy shit,
that's
funny, dude.
Yeah, but you know, my wife is actually she's very quick to apologize now, and it wasn't always that way.
My wife still don't.
When we first started dating, of course, it really wasn't that. You know, you're still learning each other and stuff. We're still learning each other today, but you know, even after 25 years, if you're not learning each other, right?
I think it's important, bro. It is important. And the thing
is,
we're continuing to personally change and grow, so then our spouse has got to continue to keep learning us, right? And I think that's important, dude. Like, we can't do what we were doing 10 years ago, let alone a year ago, right? Yeah. It's got to be different. We got to keep learning each other, man.
Yeah, it doesn't. The same thing doesn't work over and over, right? So
that's some funny stuff, though, dude.
That was good. That was funny.
That's funny you said that.
I don't like sleeping on the couch. It hurts my back. You know?
I'm like, at least if you're gonna come on the couch, like, come get under the covers with me, man. Like,
yeah, I'm like, oh shit, it's lonely out here and shit. Even the dog doesn't even want to sleep with me, you know. I'm just like, fuck, dude, come on, man.
That's funny as shit, dude. So that's cool, man. So do you have So I know we're gonna kind of wind down. We're hitting about an hour, man. But so being the stepdad, we'll kind of what's your relationship with their dad? Is that a good relationship now? Is that something that has evolved over time to be respectful, at least? Or because I know that's a tough part of this whole thing.
No, that's a good question, and honestly, it's non-existent.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't. I haven't seen the guy, and when I say I haven't seen the guy, you know, either have my kids really. You know what I mean? Okay. So I feel bad, you know, for them too. But it's you know, and I've never, you know, sometimes we ask them how they feel about it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's important.
Because again, it's not really, you know,
it's not about you,
right? It's not about me. But you know, there's been times where he's come over to the house to, you know, maybe drop something off or something like that, you know, a gift maybe or something like that, and I'll answer the door or whatever, and it's just like, hey, you know, I'll get the kids, you know, no problem. And the kids come down, and it doesn't hurt my feelings or anything. I mean, he's not saying anything that pisses me off or anything like that. So it's just like, it's whatever, you know.
Right.
But, and I've always, I mean, the whole time we've been together, I mean, even when shit gets a little sour and kind of goes south, I still keep my mouth shut. There's been a couple of times where, you know, I've had to say something. Right? I'm like, oh shit, now, you know, where it's past that threshold. Okay, now I got to say something where I'm pissed off now, like really pissed off. It takes a little bit to get me, you know, sizzled, but when I do, you know, I'm usually pretty pissed. So then I'm like, so I'll just say, hey, man, the fuck, you know, and kind of have that. Right. But it's never been anything that's been too crazy or whatever. And it's, I mean, for the most part, I mean.
Yeah. And it's just like one of those things that's kind of like, and we're all Seahawks fans, and Russell Wilson and Future have this thing. And I don't know the story, but I don't know the story before. I don't know what happened, but I know that Russ is a fucking A-class dude, and I'm pretty sure that Future's a good guy too. But at the same time, you have this kid that's in the middle, and this kid's instead of Future embracing, you know, the relationship that they got to help his kid have the best of both worlds, since he's kind of a street dude. Russell Wilson's not a street guy. The connection world to this world and this world, the kid's going to get the best of it. But it doesn't seem like Future's really like wanting that, you know?
Right.
And so it's just one of those things. It's kind of like when you deal with the hostile fucking like baby daddy, that's like, you can be going to jail over some shit. You know what I'm saying? So I just didn't understand the whole thing with like Russell Wilson. But like you said, their father is not really like he's in and out, you know, around whatnot.
Right.
So you don't really have to deal with that. Which in some cases is probably best for you, not necessarily the kids, but for you and the family raising the kid to have the morals in the house home. For them, it's probably the best in the long run.
We'll have a consistent structure, consistent values that you bring to the table. Yeah, and it's one way, you know. It's not like, okay, we do this at dad's house, we do this at home, you know, type deal.
Yeah, the way I see it too, and I always tell my wife this too. It's, you know, like in the beginning, you know, when they go over, you know, let's say they went to his house, you know, year 1, year 2, whatever. Yeah. It's like, you know, you get so attached, you know what I mean? Because these are my kids, you know, I'm tucking them in at night. They're my kids. Yeah. You know, so I feel like I'm sharing them with you, not the other way around. Like you're, you know, it's like, that's a stranger. Like, really? You know, I'm thinking in my head, do you really want to go over there? Like, stay here with me, you know? But I get it. And I would, you know, never tell them, no, you can't go over there. And my wife doesn't either. She's like, hey, if you want to, you want to. I mean, but you know, if nobody calls, then,
well, I think the kids are blessed to have you, bro. Honestly, man, because that whole dynamic of being a stepdad and then also being mature, be able to deal with all that stuff, man. Like they're blessed to have you in that role, because they're gonna be able to fall back on things that you've instilled, and like you said, I'm gonna give you all this knowledge and all this stuff, and that hopefully you take a little percentage of that away from you. They're getting that from you, man. And then they're going to be in these tough situations or reliving these situations with their own family at some point and be able to fall back on, hey, this is what my dad Nick instilled in me. You know what I'm saying? This is so powerful, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know we're winding down, but you got sisters, bro.
Yeah.
So how does your sisters handle you getting in a relationship with the girl that has 3 kids? Because, you know, sisters be on like some shit, you know.
Yeah.
Like early thing.
My older sister, you know, true story. My older sister, when we first started dating, my older sister told my wife, "What are you dating my brother for? He's an asshole." And I'm like, "What the hell? Why would you say that, girl? I might have been a jerk to you because you're my older sister, you know, but
I don't know you to be an asshole, bro.
Yeah, I can be.
Man,
sometimes.
Nick, I've been around you, man. Well, you're fucking fake because you're an A-class dude, man.
Yeah,
and this the attitude that you're right. This is who he is. Like this, everything that you guys see. This is who this guy is. So it's
you only have to be when you have to be. You know what I mean? It's like my demeanor when I walk around the street and all that. Yeah, I'm always a nice guy. You know, hey, how are you? And it's always been one of those things where it's like, if you know I'm pissed off, somebody pissed me off then. You know what I mean?
It's legitimate too.
I'm pissed, and I'm pissed for a good reason, or it could be for a shit reason too. I'm human, you know. But it's like, I'm upset for a good reason.
It
but
could be maybe your wife made you sleep on the couch.
Yeah, that too, right? But I just don't like to. There's no sense of, you know, just being a jerk all day. Who wants to live like that, you know? And I say that a lot too. You know, we get family shit that's happening, and you know, families don't agree with each other, you know, and I got that going on in my family right now, and I'm like, hey, I don't have to live with that. I don't sleep with that at night. That's not on my shoulders. I feel good, you know, and if anything, I feel kind of bad for them that they're pissed off over whatever, you know. But, you know, my older sister wasn't really, she was there, but she was older, and, you know, my sister made a lot of trouble, unfortunately, and she lives in Spokane right now. So, you know, she hasn't really been around my kids a lot. Mm-hmm. But my younger sister, for a little bit there, and the relationship was good or whatever, and now it's kind of weird now, and I haven't seen my younger sister in quite a while, but it's whatever. But at the end of the day, I got a wife, and I have 3 kids to take care of, and that's my little world, and that's what I take care of.
I think that's true, bro, because I think that families deal with so many different dynamics, man, right? And I think at the end of the day, and I don't fault anybody, right? I don't fault, because we've dealt with some in our own family, and I know friends that have. I think at the end of the day, that what we need to secure is what's within our four walls.
Yeah.
It needs 100%. To be. I need to honor my wife, and like I've had conversations with my wife and even friends that have had issues with brother-in-laws or sister-in-laws. I'm like, hey man, like you need to honor, but you need to honor your spouse.
Yeah.
First and foremost,
yeah, 100%.
Right? And then I think that hopefully at the end of the day, cooler heads prevail. Cooler heads, and you get over whatever it is because. Right. But I think that it's just important. So I don't fault anybody. Like if they disagree with me, don't agree with what I'm doing, or vice versa. Like I'm like, hey, if you honor your spouse, I get it because I honor mine.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's your household. So, this is mine.
Yeah.
And what teaching these four walls is that what works for you doesn't work for me, but what and vice versa.
Yeah.
It's like,
and hopefully at some point we can all just make it all work. Right.
Yeah, that's the thing.
That's it, man.
Like what goes on in this house, like when I was younger, stays in this house type.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure a lot of parents like, hey, whatever goes in this house stays, and says nobody's damn business what goes on in this house. And there's this thing. Remember Judge Judy? She had a show, bro, and she made this deal to her. So I was always big that we would always eat at the dinner table. Like sometimes we watched TV, but it was made sure that when it was like an old school deal. I had my wife, my kids. We sat around and we ate and we talked about what happened, and you found so much shit what was going on.
Yeah,
and all the other noise outside, even if it's blood, that's not.
I know, man.
I didn't. No, this is me right
here.
Yeah,
responsibilities right here.
Yeah. So Judge Judy, she says, listen here, and this is back when you would take fucking photos, right? Not all this. She says, but make sure when you guys go take family pictures with everybody on the outside, make sure that you and your family are next to one another because you can always cut everybody else out there.
That's true, though.
And
yeah,
I was just like, that's real talk. That's when you cut them. Everybody, remember we did this? Oh, whose fingers that? Really don't matter.
Yeah. That's it don't matter.
Yeah,
that's
I think that's important, bro. And I think that we need to respect, like, when we have siblings and stuff like that, bro. I think whether we agree or disagree with what they got going on, I think if it's my brother, I need to respect that he honors his wife. And just be like, hey, we'll figure this out someday. If it's my sister, I respect what she honors in her house. We just need to, right? Like, I think that's the best thing.
Yeah, that's your household, man. My wife's my best friend, and I'm like, at the end of the day, I mean, whether, whatever shit hits the fan or whatever with somebody else, I'm like, look, my wife's my best friend. She understands where I'm coming from. I understand where she's coming from.
Yeah.
And it's like, and then we talk about it together, because even my wife will say things like, oh, shit, should we, do this? And I'm like, no. We're not doing that. Should we go over to someone's? I'm like, no, we're not doing that. And it's me, you know what I mean, saying, no, we're not doing that because, one, I don't want to put anybody in an uncomfortable situation, especially my wife. I don't want to put her in any kind of weird situation.
But see, that's when it comes to you being a man, because the whole deal is that you're not going to let your wife take you out of your frame where you're uncomfortable around a whole bunch of other. She's going to stay in your frame. Like, I'll do this, but I'm in control. When I say, hey, we're out.
Yeah.
So that's the thing is that that's you got to.
That's a good understanding, man.
Yeah, it's your frame. Like, this is my frame. This is my world. Let's go over to Jim's house and watch the fight. No, we're going over here to watch the fight because my boy is over here and I don't know no guys over there.
Yeah.
And that's Jessica and no, I give a fuck about Jessica and all those hoes over there. They might be but we're going over here because I feel like I'm comfortable. So your frame, being a man, is the world that your wife, and it's just, I'm not going to get into the female nature, but that's what it's about, man. I mean,
we're both comfortable. Don't want to put each other in a weird, because I mean, that's
So hey,
that's my lady.
Before we get out of here,
say it.
Hey, this is good, man. Hey, I'm excited. This is a good episode, man. I'm glad.
I've had fun.
I thank you, bro.
I've had fun.
We're gonna have you're a regular. You're gonna be.
I'll be a regular. Anytime.
So real quick, man, we're gonna talk a little bit of MMA before hopefully we have enough juice here, because I know you're in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And but what did you guys think of the last fight, Khabib and Justin Gaethje, and Khabib retiring, man?
Okay, before we get into that, let's talk about the Assad. What's his name? What's the kid's name? The African kid. What's his name? The champ. He's the
who's Stylebender?
Huh?
Adesanya.
Yeah, Adesanya.
Yeah, they do.
So I was wrong about him.
Yeah, you were.
I was wrong.
Yes,
about
you
him.
were.
I thought that he was just a guy that was kind of going along. I didn't think that he was going to be tested. And
he's legit, man.
He proved me wrong, bro. We was on a podcast over in Seattle with a friend of ours, and he was like, "Oh, this guy," and I was like, "He ain't nothing, bro. He ain't been tested." I was wrong.
He's legit, dude.
No, he's
that guy.
He's
I was, you
he's
know
got
what,
skills,
and you had me thinking that for a minute too, because I disagreed with him, but then after watching him fight, the fight before his last, he fought who did he fight? Romero?
Yeah. When he
I was just
Romero.
like, what the fuck?
It was a weird fight. Romero was fighting really weird.
It was a weird fight,
but he had to be he couldn't.
But you had
Romero's
me,
he's a veteran fighter, so he had to be cautious.
Well, yeah, but you had me thinking like maybe he isn't the dude that I thought he was.
Right.
But then last fight, holy shit, dude.
Yeah,
I was
what a
a
clinic,
bro.
He just picked his shots, boom, boom, put him down, knew when he was going to do it. Yeah, true martial artist.
I was clearly wrong, and it looks like, dude, he's going to be around for a long time.
Oh yeah, he
should
will.
be.
I like
so what do you think about Khabib?
Yeah,
I thought it was going to be a better fight.
I thought I didn't watch it because I thought it was going to happen later on that night.
Yeah.
And fucking happen in the morning.
11 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, so kind of I was like, oh man, it's whatever. But you know, I watched the highlights, of course, and I kind of knew that was going to happen. The dude's a stud.
He's a stud.
And the way he retired, though, I'm cool with. Yeah, I mean, his dad died. He doesn't want to be in the nobody else in his corner. Yeah. He went out on a high note and not like man, I hate that Henry Cejudo guy. That guy annoys me so bad. Yeah, Triple C, and he's all this little shit talker.
Yeah.
But the way he retired, I'm done, and and I'm the man now, and I'm gone.
Right.
But then the emotional one, right? And I'm that kind of guy where I'm like, I always go for the underdog, or when somebody goes out on something like on their sword, like on their shield. It's like all right, that's cool.
Yeah.
So I respect that. He's not the GOAT though. John Jones.
John Jones.
Do you think John Jones?
GSP is a GOAT to me, though.
Oh, GSP, yeah, man. That's
but
it's arguably, yeah.
I mean, John Jones, if he didn't get into all this other shit, I think that kind of hurts him a little bit.
I think so too.
But GSP was just so like, I just thought he was going to lose a lot of fights, and he just
he's the man. Oh yeah, he's the
dominated.
Man too.
Yeah, just I mean, you should see this guy GSP. Like he was not a wrestler. This guy wrestled like Olympic wrestlers.
One of the best wrestlers in MMA. Didn't even
wrestle until he was in MMA. I think right.
MMA. Like he was
just a student of the game though, man.
Yeah, like
I think he beats Khabib in his prime though. I think he handles.
I think so too.
I think so too.
He's way more athletic.
He was so dynamic. He was just
Yeah, he can do everything.
Wow.
I mean, Khabib's a monster, right? And he's strong and all that, but his arsenal is so good.
Yeah.
Right. His ground game is so good
that
he can pretty much do anything he wants, and he can box too, right? I mean, he's a good stand-up guy. Yeah. But you get a GSP, way more dynamic in every fashion. So.
GSP was a freak, bro. Yeah. So it's just like one of those things. Is like you have. Don't get me. MMA is there's always different champs coming.
Yeah.
So they're saying John Jones is going to move up to heavyweight.
Right.
Man, they said Khabib had the armbar or something. Did you see that?
Yeah, and then he gave it up.
And he gave it up out of respect.
Yeah.
To Gaethje because he didn't want to hurt him significantly.
Yeah, because his family was there.
Yeah. And so he settled for the.
So he went for a triangle.
Oh fuck!
Yeah.
Man, he should have broke his arm because he knocked that motherfucker out. He was I know,
eyes
wide open.
But you know what, dude? Like what a
A-class guy.
What A-class guy. A-class dude. Man.
And that's the thing is that he told Conor McGregor, he was like, "This is a respect sport, man. This is not." That's not that box. It's not. No, this is a respect sport, man. We fight. But you said about my dad, what you said about my religion, you piece of shit.
Yeah.
And I think but the thing is that Conor McGregor's a whole different man. On the ring, after that fight, you see how respectful he is. Sometimes you just need your fucking ass kicked.
Yeah, that's true. To humble your ass a little bit.
And I think Conor too, man. He got the formula. He got the formula like Mayweather. He knew exactly what he was doing to make the money. And that's why I've said before, I think people need to give Conor his respect who don't like him just because he's made everybody's paychecks bigger.
Well, he did it, right?
No.
It could be a money sport, too. But
like me, I don't think Conor's really that good. That's just me. I
think he is.
I don't think he's that good. I think he's a good fighter, but I don't think that he's up there with the greats. I think Conor was basically a guy that had the Irish thing got him in with his cockiness.
And he had to win fights to get in.
He had to
win all the fights in front of him.
No, what I'm saying is that when you got a majority of the world are Caucasian people, and you're getting in with this Irish thing, and he's a talker, people are like, I got Irish in me. I'm fucking crazy like him. the whole deal is that he's a good fighter, bro. But to me, I don't give him this. I don't really give him the props that he's. To me, he's not on that level, bro.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree.
Do you really think that?
I do get a lot of showboating, right? And showboating gets you in, right? That's what you say. That gets you in.
Mm-hmm.
Like you take somebody like Chael Sonnen, you know, who's not a great fighter,
but
his little shit talking in
got
a couple of wins
fights.
got him to fight Anderson Silva.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and then he got the rematch, and then just got totally annihilated, right?
And he was on steroids when he fought.
Yeah,
the first
and then he
one.
tried to fight John Jones, and then he got whooped after that too.
Yeah.
But he was a good shit talker. He was a smart man. He made his paycheck. He's retired now.
Yeah.
Does whatever he wants, right? So if that's your gig, by all means, that's your gig. It's not for me.
And one
but
thing it is like when it comes to like American wrestling and it comes to like real MMA guys, it's a whole different. It's a respect sport. It's not really a game. It's like your art and your sensei. Whoever's teaching you these things how to become great, you're respecting them. And then you got Dana White, and these things are trying to he treats the fighters like shit.
They got to figure out. They got to get like a fighters union or something, bro. They deserve more money.
About it before.
They need to do something.
But dude, I believe that you got a lot of good fighters out there that need to be respected. And Conor McGregor, after he beat Cowboy Cerrone. He was respectful. He was like a real fucking like.
Yeah, that's
what
true.
I've heard, what I've witnessed, what I believe of Conor after almost every fight that I've seen, he is like that respectful dude. Like, so for me, it's just for show. It's just for entertainment. The stuff before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And whether you like it or don't like it, afterwards, he's always been a respectful dude.
I think the thing that kind of threw me off with him, or not really threw me off, but I'm like, screw that guy, is after that whole bus incident. And he's throwing like, what the hell's the matter with you? You know?
You're right, bro.
Any other guy, you'd be in jail.
Yeah.
Right? But because it's you.
I'm a big Conor fan, but that I didn't like that.
Yeah, that wasn't cool.
That's too
like,
much,
fuck, man.
Are you still
Jits?
practicing?
Oh yeah.
Are you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you guys, my man right here, MMA right here.
He's a governor and he'll whoop your ass.
So we've had three guys on the show that dealt with some MMA fighting.
Yeah, I've been doing it for a long time, but I'm probably the oldest fucking white belt that there is around here. I've been training for like 10 years.
Well, you can still whoop some ass, right?
I've been training for 10 years, dude.
You fuck a bar up, you don't know how you'll
10 years?
A little over 10 years.
So how do you rank? How do you belt up? How do you?
So I go to an academy. Shout out to my buddy Luis Alvarez with Imperial Jits in Ephrata. That's my boy there.
Yeah.
And he's done a lot of cool things too. And interesting guy if you ever wanted to have somebody like that.
Yeah, we should do that sometime.
On the show. Yeah, he's awesome.
Yeah.
It's consistency though, like you were saying. They're such respect sports.
Yeah.
They don't just hand out belts like fucking tickets, right?
Yeah.
And so even though I've been training for like 10 years, I have a lot of mat time. But it's like I'm not going enough,
Right.
and you're not going to get,
Right.
I started training with guys, 10 years ago who are, like really high end, high level purple belts right now. So, white, blue, purple, brown, black. And those are the guys I trained with back in the day, and they kick the shit out of me today, when I go to the gym. But it's all right though, because it's like it's one of those sports where I'm like, no, I'm never going to give it up. I love it.
Yeah.
I don't care if it takes me 100 years,
Yeah.
to get my black belts or something like that. But it's always a goal of mine to just keep going. Like, America's favorite dad, Al Bundy, is a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Well, fun fact there.
Shut
Really?
the fuck up,
for real.
really?
And it took him a little over 20 years to get his black belt.
Damn.
Right?
How long does it usually take to get to a black belt?
It depends. You
does
get
it?
like you get somebody like BJ Penn who got his black belt in 4 years, right? That's why they call him the prodigy.
Yeah.
Right? That guy's the shit, right? And then you got other guys who, it depends on how much you put into it.
Right.
I think
right?
Joe Rogan's
just like
got
anything.
his,
He's got a black belt from Eddie Bravo, 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, and he's a black belt in Taekwondo as well.
Wow.
But it takes you a long time to get there, and if you're not, it's like a carpenter, If I'm building a table and I make one cut a month, shit, it's gonna take me forever to build that table.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is kind of the same thing,
So
right?
there's a dojo you can go to right now to like start.
Yeah, it's an
training?
academy. Yeah, so it's in
Ephrata,
it's in Ephrata.
For fucking old guys.
For anybody who
It's
wants
for
to
anybody.
go.
I think they have a lot of people that go there or
they
have,
tons.
right?
Yeah, tons. The thing with it though is that if you ever want to compete and actually like compete, you have to be a part of like an accredited academy, right? If you want to go to the big tournaments, where are you from? You can't say I'm from Derek Garage. You'd be like, oh, you have to have like a black belt who they call professors,
Right.
like say, yeah, and give them your blessing kind of thing, right? If you want to enter the Kumite, right, you got to get that little letter or something, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of one of those things where if you want to enter the big tournaments, that's what you have to do. But yeah, I try to train as often as I can. I just got my son into it. Life happens and stuff like that too.
I think that we've talked about, because we had our buddy Isaac Jones on.
Yeah, I know Isaac.
That has some MMA training and stuff,
Right.
which I think is just good in general, just to teach this stuff.
Well, yeah, especially with the anti-bullying thing. Like, I watched a little bit of that show, and I don't care who you are, if you're willing to, or how much experience you have.
Yeah.
If you're willing to take the time to pour into our youth, and try to prevent anti-bullying and all that kind of stuff, man, kudos to you. That's badass.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that we kind of had, I guess, growing up as kids, right? You had, karate, but where the game is so evolved now, where wrestling, you got to know all this
good
other
luck with
stuff
karate
too.
in a fight if you're fighting somebody with jiu-jitsu, right?
I mean, just
take you down, choke you out,
right?
man. Really,
hey, jiu-jitsu is no fucking joke, dude. That's what they're talking about, like having. Every police officer should be trained in jiu-jitsu.
100%. I believe in that.
I believe
let me
100%.
Tell you, the last thing they want to do is this. They'll be wanting to fucking do this, fucking arm bar, break a motherfucker's arm that's resisting arrest.
Yeah.
Like, all right, man, all right, get to the car.
Think, bro, I've seen too many. We've all seen it. Too many instances where cops use deadly force when it's not needed. And
scared.
And
well,
also,
it's out of fear.
It's
out of fear.
It's out of fear, and most times, right? Not all times,
most times, not all.
But also where cops are truly not capable of handling a situation. Where I think jiu-jitsu would be a lifesaver for both parties.
Right.
Man.
I know we're getting right in right now. This thing is that you have this guy who's a bodybuilder. He's like 255 pounds, and you have this black belt jiu-jitsu guy, and he's like 130.
Yeah.
And they're gonna. I'm pretty sure
choke you out. Yeah.
And it's on YouTube, and they're fighting.
Yep.
They're gonna fight, and everybody's in this. He fucking chokes this guy out.
That's
yeah.
Listen, man.
I don't know if you've seen
100%.
it.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
That's the scariest shit right now, because there was a point in time, right, where
He's a big buff motherfucker too.
There was
bro.
a point in time where probably any one of us would be, if we saw somebody in the street or in a bar or somewhere.
Yeah, the bigger they are, the scarier.
We would be like, but we'd be whatever. Like, if we're going to throw some hands, we'll throw some hands. Well, now you see these fucking little-ass dudes, not always, but, unassuming looking guys that will just beat the shit out of us, man, because they're trained.
They are,
It's trained.
Like, scary shit, man.
Like,
it's almost it's unfair.
I'm scared. He said these thugs gotta watch out, man. These MMA fighters,
shit, dude.
Fuck you up,
and
bro.
you see the guys like in MMA. I always look at their size and their
they
height
look
and
big.
weight.
Yeah,
they look big, but they're like 5'6", 125. I'm like, that motherfucker would just embarrass me in front of my wife, right?
Yeah, man. And that's the way it is now. I heard this guy say
I can't be a tough guy no more. Like, right?
Yeah, we're too old for that anyways.
Definitely.
But I heard this one guy say this one time where he was, somebody was afraid of somebody, and the guy had cauliflower ears, right? Big old cauliflower ears. Right? And they were like, well, I'm afraid of that guy. And he's like, why? He hasn't shown you nothing yet.
Yeah.
He hasn't shown you. Maybe he got those cauliflower ears from getting his ass kicked all the time, right? But until that person shows you something, you really don't know. So kind of like to the bodybuilder thing. You think he's a big guy. No shit, man. He's going to smash me. Yeah. He hasn't shown you anything other than the fact that he's just got muscles. Muscles don't win fights, man.
Yeah.
You get those anomalies, right? Where a guy can just pick you up and fucking throw you around, right? Okay, that happens too, right?
Right.
But you get a skilled fighter in there, man, who knows exactly what they're doing. Back to like the cop thing, we've had that, where there's been in the city I work for, where people bigger, try to wrestle down one of our police officers, and they'll tussle with them and stuff. I'm like, thinking in my head, man, if you knew, and I'll tell the police officer, man, if you knew jiu-jitsu, man, you got it.
If you knew one move
that's
that
it,
I know.
YouTube, so after this show, later on, whatever, YouTube Matt Serra. So Matt Serra, former, he used to be a former champ. He beat GSP for the title once.
He had some bad stuff was going on with GSP.
But Matt Serra, there's this thing on YouTube, and it's old, where there's this idiot acting up in a restaurant and tries to fight him, and he literally puts him on the ground and kind of like mounts him almost, and literally just sits on top of him until the cops come. And the guy did everything in his power to get away, and he couldn't.
Wow.
Because Matt Serra, you're dealing with a jiu-jitsu practitioner, and he just like held him on the ground and whatever, kind of messed with him a little bit. But that's the kind of level that you can obviously get to, and then you don't have to use any kind of force whatsoever.
Isn't that wild?
That's all it takes, man. And that's like the training. When you're dealing with a person that's mentally ill, that's got some training, man. You know, rustle his ass to the ground and put him in. You know, you ain't got to choke him out, but just put him in the fucking. You know, some. Like a guillotine, something to where you're like, you know, even if you got to put them to sleep for a quick second, if that's what you're a professional, you know what the fuck you're doing, you know?
Bro, at this point, man, you know, we've talked about it on the show before, but at the climate of our country and then with policing and with the bad policing that we've seen that's at the forefront,
right?
I think it should be it should be a no-brainer. It should be mandatory at this point. I mean,
I agree.
I think it.
And I think the cops are fucking after it because just having a cop mindset, I think a lot of cops, they might hate it, but after doing it, they'll fucking love it, dude.
Yeah.
They'll fucking fall in love with it.
Well, and I think most would be up to doing it because I think the majority are like any one of us that we want to do a good job at the job we do.
Sure.
Right? So I think they're willing to do whatever it takes, right? There's a minority that are like, fuck it, man. I like the way it's always been.
Yeah.
You know, but
we got to get the Old West, man.
Yeah.
You know?
We got to get
rid of the Old West.
Exactly.
Yeah, you got to have more training than that. So
we have to, man.
I
Especially with the microscope on everybody right now, too. Right. So yeah, man, this is good shit, dude. So
it was, man.
So hey,
talking away.
We good? Thanks, man. Hey, Nick, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
Nick's
thank you.
A-class motherfucker,
thank
you guys. And, you know, excuse my language because your parents might watch it. Now,
yeah,
I always respect my elders. So thanks for coming on, Nick. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
bro.
Thanks for having me, man. It was cool shit. I had fun.
Yeah, bro.
It was good.
I appreciate you, man. I could have you back again, man. So
anytime.
Anyways, guys, I appreciate y'all for tuning in and stay tuned for upcoming episodes, man. We're excited to bring some new cool stuff in the future, man. So peace.
Peace out.